Poof, and just like that, we're back. All right, hopefully everything is a little bit better for us. Welcome in, everyone. If you somehow missed part one, I just got done having really good interviews with Brian Schweberger and Corey Ellis. Corey Ellis sitting in second place, spoiler alert, he's in second place at 8 under, second to Paul Macbeth, who's sitting at 10 under, and then his caddy and Hall of Fame member, Brian Schweberger, sat down with me a little bit ago. So if you're just catching up with this video now, that one took place over the last 20 minutes, and now we're gonna give you part two. We're just gonna keep things rolling. Even the internet can't shut me up. So hopefully you're here taking it in, and sorry for the disruption, as I know a few more people are gonna be joining us here in just a few moments. So thanks for being here. What I was saying, and we're gonna try this again, what I was saying as we were closing out, or unintentionally closing out last time, one of our top players today, our two-time USDGC champion, and the gentleman that's here trying to defend his title, many would call him the odds-on favorite for winning this event. That's Gannon Buhr. He had a little bit of a slow day out there today. He shot 3 under, which surprisingly brings him 7 back of our leader in Macbeth. I think a lot of people are shocked by that. Gannon had some reactions for us, so with that, I'm gonna throw it off to the interview. I caught up with Gannon Buhr after his round. Here's what he had to say. Catching up with Gannon Buhr, round number 1, title defense here out at the USDGC. Break it down. How do you feel like it went?
Yeah, I feel like I played fine. I feel like I actually started off pretty hot with a good, nice putt on hole 2 there to get me to 200 through 2. And then it's like the wind was really swirly out there, and it felt like where you throw it almost as a par every time. I had one shot in 5 that I was like, oh dang, I pulled it way too far right, and I actually went OB left. I was like, that's really annoying. I mean, I was OB by that much, and still saved the par, but yeah, I kind of got like not a great skip on 6, missed 7, and then got to 9, and the wind's just gusting, and I just left it way short. I like didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'm not gonna throw a driver on a hole under 400 feet, but it was so windy, and I came up way short, so I might have to tomorrow. Hopefully it's not as windy, but so just kind of rough front 9. I felt like I wasn't doing anything bad. I just wasn't scoring, and then a couple shots I thought were okay, just had bad results, and then I got the eagle in 10, so that's nice. I have a really good history on that hole. I get that hole, it feels like almost every time, so that's a good buffer to have. But really the shot of the day for me was on hole 11 off the tee. I threw what I thought was a perfect shot. No doubt in my mind it was going to be right in the middle of the fairway, and I just get slammed. It felt like straight down into the bush, and it was almost a re-tee. And at that point, I didn't throw a great 3rd or 4th shot and missed my like 30-footer down the hill. I just felt like the wind was just so swirly. It was hard to read, and my shots weren't horrible, but they just weren't good enough to score. And really just had one really bad shot on hole 18 to give me a bogey there. I would have been okay with a 500 par, but 3 under is going to put me, I think 7 off the lead, which I'm not too concerned about. I know I can put together, 3-10 downs, and that's going to be right in the mix for the final round. So I'm not too concerned, but sometimes it's not the worst thing to play from behind.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, when we're looking at the next couple of days, have you looked ahead to any kind of weather conditions? I don't think it's going to get any hotter or colder, but how about wind? Did you look?
I think it looked maybe a little less, but pretty similar. It feels like it's going to be a little windy the whole week, which I don't hate. I just want the wind to be consistent. That's the only thing I ask for. It's like when you're throwing around, I guess that bush line on 11, then you're kind of throwing around in a circle around the baseball field. You get to the Coliseum, like it's really hard to read the wind, and there's just a couple spots where it just feels like you throw the shot and it's like no matter what, like it's going to be. There's multiple times today I was like, it's going to be no matter what, no matter how I throw this, it's going to go out of bounds. And maybe that's not the best mindset to have, but it feels like it shouldn't matter. I mean, if I throw a good shot, it should be in bounds. And today I just felt like couldn't really get a grasp of being dialed in, but made a couple good putts and had enough birdie strokes. Just need to get rid of the bogeys.
All right, everyone, that's Gannon Buhr. He's trying to defend the title here. We're going to get back to the action for the podcast, but thanks. Best of luck to you the rest of the weekend.
I also heard you did not a great job on hole 2 caddying.
Hey, wait a minute.
And that's my turn to interview you.
He threw a terrible tee shot that yanked and hit the tree, and he was lucky that it hit the fence and didn't go out of bounds.
Okay.
And then he pitched up where you should be, and then from there you're like, okay, he's going to take the 4. He pitches the little chippy sidearm out of bounds to the right of the basket, and then misses the 15-footer.
That's not good.
That's not me.
You gotta blame the caddy though. It's all on the caddy. That's what my caddy says. He's like, you win.
Wow.
It's all on me. So,
okay.
Hey, but I think you'll do better if you're still doing it.
Hey, my first ever pro debut for caddying 1035 rated round.
That's pretty good. That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, and you can always improve, so.
All right. We'll see you out there tomorrow. All right, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully that all worked out pretty well for you. I'm going to try to get more interviews throughout the day that we can then provide to you each night. And it's not necessarily going to be about players or going to be our players that are in contention. I've got some other good stuff that's going to be coming up for you as well. But I feel like that's going to be one of the easiest and most practical things for us to give to you guys every night, recapping and talking about things that are happening out here at this event. What's also happening at Slow Play Brewery, my favorite song, is playing in the background. Maybe you hear it, maybe you don't, but yeah, a little It Takes Two, Rob Bass. Okay. It Takes Two, it took two of us today. And I'm talking about me and my pal, Nate Doss. As you guys heard us on Smashbox a few weeks ago, I was very unsure about being here in any capacity. So happy that myself, along with Dave from the Dyers Guild, could come out here. This was one of our most exciting parts of being here for the week, was try to give you a recap show every night. And with that, I promise though, Nate Doss, that if I come to this event and get here in any capacity, I would carve out those 3 to 4 hours every single day to be a caddy to him. And that's exactly what I did today. Let's take a look at his scorecard and see how things went and what we can do when we're seeing his scorecard. To say it was a slow or a rough start, I think would be very accurate and appropriate to say. Today, hole 1, made the Mando. Super exciting. You know, I know it seems like maybe that's a pretty big gap to hit, but you're nervous, you're on the tee, people are watching, you can't miss the Mando. He makes the Mando and goes way past the hole, to the point where I actually looked at him while we were walking and we had a hard time finding it. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone outdrive hole 1 by this far. And we both kind of chuckled about it because it just, the wind took it and it just continued to drift off for a long way. Anyway, gets the par on 1. Hole 2, throws a terrible shot that ultimately he doesn't get up and down, throws it out of bounds. That's the story there. Not too good. Takes a triple bogey, and let me just say, I'll admit there was a little bit of awkwardness. I've been friends with him for 20 years. I've never caddied before, but you're at this event that he's won, and he just goes on to have this miserable hole. Like, the tee shot was bad, the second shot was okay, the third shot was terrible, and then you miss a short putt. I was holding my breath, and not in fear of necessarily like a massive reaction from him. I knew nothing was my fault, but it still was very deflating. And I remember saying, all right, start over. Like, yeah, it sucks you're 3 up, but let's start over. Had a very difficult third hole, and then when he came back and birdied the 5th, only guy on the card to do so, that was awesome. I mean, you're talking 1,025 feet, danger on both right and left. Everything about that hole is only gotten harder and scarier over the last few years, especially with how much they've brought it in off the road. Very impressive. He gets the birdie, unfortunately follows it back up with a bogey, but then bounces back on the 7th, hitting the pole after a little skip. He's parked on the 7th, and then birdie. 8, first of all, 8 feels like 8 is a bonus. I would beg to, I would bet on it, I should say. Most players out here would consider hole 8 somewhat of a bonus. So a par there is fine. Back-to-back birdies on 9 and 10. Tripped up a little on 11 only because of a bad tee shot. And then look at that strong closeout. 14, he makes a good putt. I'd give him closer to 28 feet, doesn't matter, but 28 feet into the wind. 16, he makes a great drive that leaves him the short putt. And then on 18, he closes out with the birdie on the 18th. Triple bogey, and then followed by a bogey, and he still finished 1 under. I don't remember the exact scores, but I think Noah Meinsma might have shot like a 1 over on his card. Kevin Jones, I think, shot a 3 over. And Steve Brinster, previous champion here, struggled. He picked up a lot of strokes, specifically on hole number 5, where I think he took a 10. And Steve ended up, I think, shooting a 13 over. I'm just going to say it. Nate Doss has not been playing a lot of golf lately. I know this for a fact. He did play in my flex start a few weeks ago. He does go out and throw in the net only for the last couple of weeks to warm up for this. But he doesn't go out and play golf on the regular. And to see him come out, tournaments far from over, all that other stuff, but to see him come out and play as solid of a round as he did when it was all said and done, I mean, he outperformed 60 of our touring pros or regular pros on the circuit. And for a guy who's just coming off the couch, as a figurative expression, I was just incredibly happy to see it and very proud of him. And I think even bigger than that he's sitting in 30th is how he came back ultimately from the blow up on hole 2, the difficult third, but the blow up on 2, so to speak, to then ultimately get it back to par and below. Impressive. I mean, yeah, birdies weren't necessarily a problem in the fact that, what did he have, 7 birdies? 7 birdies, you clean up a couple bogeys, don't have any bogeys, shoot a bogey-free 7 under. That's, only a couple off what Macbeth shot, and he's in the lead. So, awesome day, had a ton of fun with it. It was a great experience for me to be out there. And all I can do is just kind of play along with it and see what happens. Right after the round, we were able to catch up with Nate. I was still there with him. We did a really funny interview that happened on the Disc Golf Network where Brian Earhart led in with the first question, and then they had me step in and act as a caddy with questions. I had a good time with it. Nate was, of course, a great sport about it. Had a lot of fun with it, and I guess that aired later on the Disc Golf Network, which as well, which is funny. But right after we were done, we also were able to catch up with him. Dave from the Dyers Guild out there working the cameras, caught up with us, and here's what Nate Doss had to say after the round. All right, round 1 is in the books. My first ever caddy experience with one Nate Doss, first ever really ever, and then I'm doing it at a major. No major F-ups, didn't drop anything, didn't make any loud noises, camera shutters, none of that happened. So
scorecard accurate.
Scorecard was accurate, and then when it was all said and done, a battle back after a little bit of a slow start, and somehow we got it done. So
yeah, it was a good day 1, and honestly, dude, you were great. I don't know. Look, I've said this a million times, but one of the best things about being a professional disc golfer and being interviewed is the person that's interviewing you. And Terry's been interviewing me for 20 years, and so it just felt comfortable out there. So we had a good time, buddy.
Yeah, certainly a good time.
Wins 3 more days, I hope.
Yeah, 3 more days. He wins the card today, and hopefully we just keep teeing off later and later every day. I like to sleep in.
Keep it rolling, baby.
Keep it rolling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so good to hear. And at this point, like I said, just going to try and keep the trains on the track for the next few days. Ultimately, sitting in a tie for 30th, well inside the cut line, well inside the cash line, is where Nate is sitting. I don't know what anyone else's expectations are out there in the world, but I'll say this: if this guy can cash, what an incredible feat that would be. He did it last year, and if he can come back and again cash this year at the USDGC, I know there's a lot of people that want to talk about what does Nate Doss know on the course? Is he removed? Has he been playing? What is where's he at? Well, the fact that this guy off the couch and ready. Again, he practiced over the last few weeks. He really dedicated himself, for an hour or so a day that he could while running a brewery, while also having a toddler, while also, doing commentary and everything else that he's done. Just super proud, super happy for him. And I think it was a great first round under our belt. I know Wes from the band Revolution, who was on the bag for him last year, but I'm going to continue to go out there and do what I can. So should be a lot of fun. All right, enough of the guys, enough of the USDGC. We're going to switch gears. head over to the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship. I want to take a look at the scores, pull it up, see what jumps out at us from the scoring perspective over at the Throw Pink. I know there's a big conversation year after year over these last few years that this feels like a major to the women. Missy Gannon has said that, Holland Hanley, lots of players are treated like they're playing in a major, and it feels like we're at a major simply because we're on the same grounds that the USDGC has been at since 1999, and this place is special. And so the fact that we're seeing the Throw Pink Women's Championship take place here over the last 4 or 5 years has been awesome. Whether or not that gets worked out to being a major at some point, that's another conversation for another. You can fight about that. It's a very good fight, but you can fight about that in the comments. Previous winner here, and someone who's coming off a couple of great weekends, Missy Gannon, your leader, shoots the hot round to open the tournament. She shoots the 6 under. When I scroll down or take a look at how she arrives at a 6 under, it looks like when it was all said and done, 9 birdies, 3 bogey strokes. All 3 of those bogey strokes were related to her having 2 OBs and 1 hazard, which feels a lot like an OB. So Missy, 9 birdies out there on the course, and ultimately 3 bogey strokes. Those came on hole 5, hole 10, and hole 16. Looking at the putting, didn't seem like there was anything crazy. 9 of 11 from C1X, which is solid. When I say crazy, I guess I immediately think about C2 putting and what gets done there. She had what looked like 2 looks from C2, not able to convert on those. So 0 for 2 on C2. And then we look at her next closest competitors. Annele Tulgas-Monaste out of Estonia, having a really solid day out there as well. She shoots a 5 under. And she, when it was all said and done, had just as many birdie strokes. Holy cow. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 under in the first 10 holes, and then would pick up 2 more birdies ultimately. And then in terms of bogey strokes, again, all related to hazards or OB. And she had hazards or OB 3 times out there. In fact, there were 3 separate hazards. Holes 11, hole 14, and hole 16. Kind of not so coincidental maybe that hole 16 is one that got Missy Gannon as well. That's just such an easy hole to go into the hazard area on. 1 for 3 from C2, 9 of 10 from C1X. So solid day out there, unofficially, very unofficially rated a 10-23 round, which is awesome. Silva Saarinen along with Hannah Wynn. Hannah Wynn, we talk about Silva quite a bit. Hannah Wynn, especially in these last few weekends, we've been talking about as well. She had a great start back at the MVP, and now we're seeing that Hannah Wynn, again, plenty of birdies out there for, it looks like 8 birdies. A little bit of a rougher finish on the back, finding struggles on 12, 13, 17, and 18. So you know there's a place where she can clean things up. Didn't have any C2 connections, so some opportunities there. She had 5 of them. Silva Saarinen, who rounds out the lead card, also shot 3 under, and when it was all said and done, 10 and 11. No surprises, there's been a consistent theme there. And then she struggled on 17. And the interesting story that I picked up out on the course today was during one of the practice rounds, she was on hole 17 and simply couldn't figure it out, is what someone told me. This was earlier in the week. Just launching shot after shot, couple long, couple short, really struggling with hole number 17, and that ended up being her worst score and worst over par hole on the day, and that was a double bogey on 17. She had gone out of bounds and then ultimately went on to double bogey the hole. She went out of bounds on 10 and had a hazard on 11, but Silva Saarinen, I guess just think about that a little bit. You know, I don't want to project too much because obviously these are pros and they can get things figured out. But to hear a very precise story about her struggles in practice, not quite dialing in 17, and now in round 1 coming out and struggling, you have to think that like that's in the back of her head. It's always in the back of your head. 17 looms forever. You know, not only do us as sports commentators beat it into your head, but the players will tell you 17 can break your career. Like you're just about to win a major or an event that feels like a major, and you can give away a lot of strokes on hole 17. So not saying she won't get it figured out, but today didn't build any confidence, I'm guessing, in hole 17's tee shot or just the overall department of what is 17. We're going to see a different pin for rounds 2 and 3, and then back in this position for round number 4 on Championship Sunday. But hole 17 getting Silva Saarinen. If I quickly just do a little sorting, excuse me, hole 17 today, birdies only by 3 women in the field. Missy Gannon, Jennifer Smiley, and Kona Star Montgomery were the only 3 to get birdies. And on the other side, Madison Walker struggled, Jen Allen, Rebecca Don, not to call them out, but the point is, struggles can happen on the 17th. So, yeah, just absolutely brutal. Real quick, I'm going to take a look ultimately at the course stats. Before I go over to the chase card, I want to just look briefly at the course stats, see if anything jumps out at me. Hole 16 is what looks like a very favorable birdie. It was birdied by 55% of the field today. Excuse me if I said hole 6. That's the beach hole, birdied by 55% of the field. So that feels like a one you got to get. And hole 8 and then hole 2 come in as the next 2 easiest holes on the course. And really, it's only 6 and 8 that are played under par at all today. So that tells you how difficult and how quickly strokes can add up out here. You flip that around, maybe no surprise, hole 17, when it was all said and done, played as the single most difficult hole, averaged 1.11 over par, and hole 11 averaged 0.95 over par. Hole 5, hole 9, not far behind, 0.78, 0.75. So look for the problem spots, look for where there's pockets of holes, and a lot of times players will say, as Nate Doss said to me today, just get through this stretch, get through this gauntlet, whatever that is. And for every player and for the 2 different divisions, those can look like different things, but sometimes there's a pocket of holes, 3, 4 holes in a row, where they're just thinking par, 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 or you know, just survive, go even or 1 up or 1 under maybe through a particular stretch. Again, it's different for every player, but I think about those pockets and how players kind of handle that. I mean, I was talking to Nate during the round today, and hole 12 had a slightly different configuration, but 12 used to be a par 5, and he's like, yeah, I think when I won this in 2008, I went like eagle, 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 birdie, or whatever it was. You know, you're thinking ahead to certain holes and different spots on the course. They ultimately changed that to a par 4, by the way. But you're thinking about different holes and different spots on the course where scoring feels attackable, and then scoring feels like just maintain. And I think that's interesting to see on both NPO and FPO sides. Real quick, I'll go back to some scores ultimately to see who's on chase card. Obviously still a very close contested battle as we're just 25% of the way into the tournament. But our lead card tomorrow, again, Missy Gannon, Annalei Tugas-Monaste, Silva Saarinen, and rounding it out, Hannah Wynn. Chase card, Cadence Burge, Owen Scoggins, Hannah Blomroos, and Valerie Mundahano. Yeah, I was going to say, anything you see with all of those? 3 out of the 4 winning Elite Series events this year. Yeah, so very exciting. Cadence, of course, picking hers up in Iowa. I just want to scroll down. I think there's always a story to be told when you look at Owen Scoggins' scorecard. How many C2s? Only 1 for 7. Swirling wins, but even for Owen Scoggins, that feels like a little bit low. So we'll see what she can do with that. I'm scrolling and looking and seeing she missed the Mando on 7. Hole 9, she had an out of bounds. 16, she had a hazard. Again, very common, but saved the par with a 33-footer. and then hole 18, she had an OB. So I always look, I feel like that's some of the most exciting golf you can ask for is Ohn Scoggins, and watching her pick up 4 out of 5 from C2, or 4 out of 7, or 5 out of 8, whatever the number is. Today it looks like C2 wasn't quite on point. We'll look at third card as well quickly. Colleen McGinnis, who I got to admit I don't think I know that well, but is sitting in a tie for 6. She'll be on the third card, along with Jennifer Allen and Katrina Allen, and Kaidi Asalu will likely round out that card. So should be exciting. Some of you are new here, so I'll just go ahead and say it now since they're going to play on the same card tomorrow, and some of you may not know this. Jennifer Allen, Katrina Allen, 0 relation to one another. It's incredible. We've got 2, titans of the game, a 2-time world champ in Katrina Allen, world distance holder, and an incredible player that's played forever in Jen Allen. You've got both of these 2 women, last name Allen. They are not related. I would go as far as saying they don't look anything alike either, but 2 titans of our game. So we'll see what they can do tomorrow. If you want the action, DGN Pro will have it. And with that, you're going to have, like I said, Missy, Anale, Silva, and Hannah Wynn. They tee off at 8:50 a.m. Eastern time. Is that Eastern, or is that? I don't know. It sounds a little. It's not 9:50, so yeah, it's probably 8:50. I don't know. I don't think all my websites and internets have fully updated here just yet. So, John, out on the board real quick. I want to get to reading some comments with you guys, but John says, follow Colleen McInnes, top Canadian FPO today. Yes, she was. I'll go to another Canadian who I did have a quick conversation with. It was great to catch up with Sophia Dunica. She struggled mightily on holes 17 and 18. Mightily struggled. She admitted as much to me, gave me the full breakdown of how it all happened. I'm not going to give you that whole story, but she struggled mightily. And we talked about her maybe just throwing more in bounds, and instead her strategy is, no, I just need to be more under par before I get to those holes. So I thought that was a really funny note from her. I'm going to take a quick look. She finished out, I think this is a Lil Jon song, 469, not a damn good time. I don't know. She struggled. 12, she took a birdie. 14, she took a birdie. 15, she took a birdie. 3 out of 4 holes. 16 got her for the bogey. 17 got her for a 6, which was a triple bogey. And 18 got her for a 9. So, again, I can kind of in jest bring this up because I talked with her. She told me all about it, rather than... fixing all of those things. Of course she wants to, but she's like, no, I just need to come in more under par going into those holes. That's one strategy. I don't know if she wants to be 10 under and then give 5 or 6 back to the field on the last 2 holes, but we wish her the best tomorrow. She had a great spirit about her. She's sitting in a tie for 24th. Another woman that young woman that we've had obviously been watching is Ida Letamaki, who was finished runner-up to Ohn Scoggins today. Seeing what she did out there, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little shocked to see that she only had 2 birdies on the entire round. Just flat out, 3. Surprising. Looks like she struggled. I'm gonna go ahead and just guess. We see some OBs and hazards, and that's exactly it. She ultimately would have 4 OBs and 2 hazards. So right off the bat, you're looking at 6 strokes over par. She finished with a 7 over on the day. So we'll continue to keep an eye on her as to what she's doing. We wish her the best of luck. Pretty exciting day, for sure. Hole 6 is one you got to go out and get. That's what I'm seeing on the scorecard. And I'm going to take a look on the FPO side. if you were in part 1, you heard me mention this. I'm going to find a way to do giveaways. I don't know if that's going to be related to our super chat, if you want to make sure that that works, but ClimoDisc.com is supporting us this week, and one of their newest discs is named The Streak. Well, we have to look at who had the longest streak of birdies. I'm going to have to keep a run. Maybe one of you can help me with this so we can put it in the description of the video when it's all said and done. But the longest streak of birdies on the FPO and MPO side, I think Evan Scott had 6 on the MPO side of play. We'll call it that way. I know these are 2 separate events. Over at Throw Pink, I'm seeing Sarah Hokum with 3. She birdied holes 2, 3, and 4, and I'm looking for consecutive birdies in a row. Cynthia Klesberga had 3 in a row. She birdied 13, 14, and 15. Neta Lapajo, who I apologize, I don't know. She birdied 6, 7, and 8 for 3 in a row. Is anybody going to break a tiebreaker? I don't know. It looks like 3 in a row seem to be the best that I'm seeing. Hannah Blomroos had 3 in a row. She got 6, 7, 8. We saw a lot of women with 4 of 5, but I'm looking for more than 3. Hannah Wynn got 14, 15, and 16. So it looks like the streak was 3 today. Shout out to all of those women. Shout out to the streak by our friends over at ClimoDisc. I'm going to have giveaways. Maybe by tomorrow night I'll figure out how we're going to give them away, but we're going to have some giveaways, and it's going to be presented by ClimoDisc as they've released the streak. So Evan Scott on the MPO action over at USDGC, a streak of 6 birdies in a row, and then a handful of women that had 3 birdies in a row for Throw Pink today. So if you guys want to help keep track of those, send them to me. I want to put them in the description. And then, like I said, we're going to also have some giveaways each and every night related to the streak with ClimoDisc. Thanks to Dana and Ken Climo, who's also here on site. Holy cow, that's a lot of stuff off the cuff, but I want to get into the comments here and take a look and see what you guys have to say. Tomorrow night, we're going to find the best possible solution to give you guys the best stream so that we hopefully don't struggle or it doesn't chug along whatsoever. We're working on that to do the best that we can. We got to thank Slow Play for hosting us here tonight. Hopefully, if we have good luck, maybe we can come back here tomorrow night, but we want to find the best possible stream so that we're not cutting things out on you guys as it goes on. Let me do a little scrolling for what I've seen that's come in on the comment section. Please make sure you're leaving us some comments so that I can see if there's stuff I need to answer or talk about. Scrolling up, Daniel says, Doss is amazing. He barely plays and goes out and shoots a 1 under. Again, pretty impressed with that. Doc Zen, glad to have you here, buddy. Says, I think Val's going to send Terry a case of something good for helping out her man. Yeah, Val and Luca, along with Sharon Jenkins, Avery Jenkins, Avery's wife, Leah, and their 2 kids, all here in attendance, which is awesome to see. Of course, that was partly due to having the Hall of Fame induction ceremony last night. Absolutely awesome. Congrats to the entire class there. Can Terry carry Doss to a USDGC title? I mean, we're not out of it, right? Tomorrow night we might have a better conversation or view on that. I mean, if you think about it, Doss is 7 back of most of the field or less, right? In that Coriolis, a couple guys at 8 under. Yes, Macbeth had his incredible 10 under to start, but yeah, I mean, if we're going to be optimistic, I guess anything's possible. Day 1, the older players are winning. Will age catch up or the kids overtake? Obviously, a good question. We know the numbers tell us with his rating, you give Gannon Buhr enough rounds in a tournament and he's going to win. Like, that just feels like what always happens. That's, I think, somehow like ratings and stuff typically average out and work. And Gannon's been a killer for the last couple of years at DGPT Elite Plus events, playoff events. He's right there in all of those conversations, every single 4-round or more event. Obviously, yeah, the World's in there this year with the 5 rounds, but Right now, Gannon Buhr has a little bit of a hill to climb, that he's sitting 7 back of Macbeth. You figure that's 2.5 strokes around on average. He's got to catch Macbeth, but if Macbeth keeps playing at this level, he may be uncatchable. It's a lot of projecting when we're a few days out yet after just day 1, but anything's possible. Doc, have a good night and heading to bed. Appreciate you joining us. Owen Scoggins. Why do they have the same last name, Daniel says, if Katrina and Jen aren't related? I don't know. As being the only Miller that I know, I don't know how others, make that work. That's a good question. Daniel also says, Terry, what do you think about the baskets? We saw several spit outs and cut through on coverage, especially with Simon. Not sure if basket related or just random. What I can say that I saw 0 spit outs, 0 cut throughs, 0 spits of any kind. In fact, I'll go as far as saying there were, with this wind, high left chain, I saw 3 or 4 putts that I fully anticipated to come out at some point today, whether it was during the round I caddied or a few extra holes I went out and watched. There was at least 3 times today where I was like, that should fall out, and it didn't. I don't know if that's because the basket chain configuration is because it's different, and if that actually is what caused that to stay, or if those were just 3 putts that flip of a coin, all 3 of those could have fallen out, instead all 3 of those stayed in. That I'm not sure about, but there was 3 putts specifically while I was watching golf today where I thought, that's falling out. High left chain, and then it stayed in. So, you guys watched the live coverage. I did not. I was busy doing a bunch of things. So I can't speak to if that was an actual, I don't want to call it a fluke, but I can't speak to how good those putts were or weren't. I'm not. That I don't know. All right. Well, anything else that I need to read about before we start thinking about wrapping it up? Believe it or not, I'm going to not try to go 3 or 4 or 5 hours on any given night here. I'm just going to scroll and see if there's stuff I need to address. Do we get a plug in there for the Dyers Guild? Do we have a commercial yet? We do? Oh, well then we're going to take a very quick break. As I've talked about here a couple of times, Dave from the Dyers Guild has helped me up my game in a number of ways, media-wise throughout this year, including a few videos you've seen on my channel. He's out here busting his ass, doing a whole bunch of stuff, including helping this live feed go each night. And then, Dave's got his own stuff to do also, which is the Dyers Guild. Lots of great stuff going on over there. I'm going to stand down for a minute. Dave, tell us about the Dyers Guild.
Disc Golf Dyers Guild is your go-to resource for disc dying instruction, ideas, and information. A community that pools its resources for the betterment of the group. Come check out our courses, dying supplies, online community contests, raffles, and the Dying to Listen podcast where you get to put a face or sound to your favorite dyers. So, if you always wanted to try disc dying, or you've been dying for a while, there's something for you.
Appreciate it, Dave, as he is actually calling the shots here, telling me when we're live and coming back. So thank you very much. Please go out, support the Dyers Guild. I'm going to continue to do everything I can to not only support the entire Dyers Guild crew and community. Obviously, I've been helping out in some respects with boxes and making those available, but Dave does a ton of things for that community, and we've seen a bunch of Dyers here already this weekend that he's been running into. So love the community. Let's keep things rolling there. All right, one other component, as I talked a little earlier about caddying for Nate Doss, it's certainly an exciting piece for me. Someone that you guys have seen on the bag, you've seen him on the mic, you've seen him in a few mic'd up practice rounds, you see him everywhere, and you're almost always going to be entertained. He said he might be able to join one of the nights and catch up with us, but I'm talking about Calvin Heimberg and Zach Melton. That combo, that player-caddy combo. Zach's a player as well, but he's also been one of the most notorious caddies out on the course. I wanted to check in with him, see what he had to say. So for just a minute or so, we're going to throw it over as I caught up with Zach Melton earlier in the day, right after his round. First edition Caddy Chronicles. I'm catching up with a real pro in Zach Melton. Zach, round one's complete, 4 under for Kelvin.
Yes.
What can you tell us about the round?
He played about as bad as he could out there on some parts of it. Honestly, he wasn't super sharp. Like, he had some really good holes, but then like he just kind of had some bad misses, as he would say. I would say like a little off, and then he was like, yeah, those were freaking terrible. But he battled, got 4 under on Winthrop. When you don't have your best stuff, it's kind of not easy to do. So I think he scrapped, and he's kind of in a decent spot. Maybe he can get hot for the rest of the tournament, you know?
Of course, on one of our feature cards, we saw him, spoiler alert, played with Gannon Buhr, who's going to be another one of the favorites out here. Anything you saw within the card from Gannon or otherwise?
Yeah, I think it seemed the whole card kind of had a very similar round. Like, none of them were super sharp, but also had really good holes, good birdies, but also had some like shank jobs and some like really bad misses. So they kind of scrapped and made their way out of it. But yeah, I think people expected probably a little better from that card, but they held it together.
As I am just making, this kind of debut here for caddying, I got to know what should I know as a pro caddy?
Okay.
Give me some tips.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to know your player, right? Does he want you to hold his hand, and like, you got it, big guy, or does he want to be, hey, dude, you're sucking right now, pick it up? You got to know, do they need tough love or do they need you to be nice? And I think there are times for both, right? Birdie candy is a good idea. Nate probably likes some candy. So like, hey, big dog, you get this birdie. I got a little, got some nerd clusters, some Skittles.
Or possibly some one-shot energy, some focus chews.
Yeah.
Wink,
dude.
wink. Product ad.
Ooh, nice. No
placement?
pay, no free ads.
No,
that was nice. That was like a smooth transition. But yeah, stuff like that. Got to know your guy. Got to know your guy.
You got to know your guy.
Sometimes Calvin wants me to be mean to him. Sometimes I got to hold his hand, be like, hey, you're really good. You got this. Sometimes like, hey, wake up, idiot. Like there's both.
The only thing that almost kept me away from caddying was the idea that there was a hug limit, a maximum limit. And I'm hoping that's not true. Can you confirm? I can hug as much as I want, right?
You can hug as much as you want. There is no limit, honestly. You should. Honestly,
Zach Melton, Caddy Chronicles. We'll keep checking in. Let's get back to the show.
All right.
Of course, always a good time with Zach Melton. Maybe it'll be a regular segment, like I said, or maybe he'll just join us in our slow play studio, so to speak. But good to hear from him, and excited about the rest of the week. I'll say it now. I'm excited to hear what you guys want to see or hear with what we have to work with, keeping that in mind. Let us know. I very much have the idea of when I'm done caddying, or maybe even before caddying tomorrow, I would like to maybe run around, get a couple more interviews. I know there's a Hall of Famer or two that I'd love to check in with. Maybe we could get some, updates or a quick interview with them. Some players, some interviews will be pretty easy to pull off, and then I think there's a lot of other things going on here that will help share what the USDGC is all about that's outside of just the plays and the player. We expect that you're watching DGN. I expect that you're hearing all the analysis and everything from Philo and from Charlie and Brian and Perkins and everybody else, along with JK on the FPO side. So I won't necessarily have every in-depth detail in terms of what's going on the course, but hopefully I can give you a little more flavor, things off the course out here. Again, caddy duty then turns into trying to catch up after that. So the post-round interview replays are great. The format was perfect, this format. Thank you, Daniel. We very much appreciate that. I'll admit, I think it will be relatively easy to capture a number of those interviews moving forward, and then I think we can continue to sprinkle those in as the week rolls on. That might be a little bit more fun, and we'll get outside of just the play. The play is great, but I want to get a little outside of just the play and maybe give you guys more flavor here locally. I think with that, I've kind of accomplished what I hope to tonight, in also without letting it go on for hours and hours. So I'm gonna start cutting loose. Sounds like there's action still going on. I'll figure out who's ultimately the winner of the putting league tomorrow night. That might be something we have to report back on tomorrow night. But if you've got thoughts, ideas, questions, things that you think are practical that we could accomplish and then share with you each night, I'm here for it. I love the questions. Hopefully you continue to give us those in the live chat. Please do me a favor, hit the notifications on your YouTube channel, your YouTube subscription. I know that I never ask for you to do that, but this is probably the time where it's most useful because we don't have a set start time each night. It's gonna be a little fluid. We may or may not have a difficulty or two, so hit the notification so that you know when I go live. It'll instantly notify you. You can drop everything else in the world that you're doing so that you can tune in to our nightly recaps known as the Drop Zone. So that's why it's so crucial that you hit the notification button, just because we're on a somewhat fluid schedule over the next couple of nights. So appreciate it. Jay Brown says, really enjoy your nightly recaps at big events. Appreciate that, Jay, appreciate you. Are you getting hammered? No. It's been a dry day, and I'm okay with that, working off a headache as it already was, so not getting hammered. Not to say that couldn't happen, I've got a designated driver, but no, not getting hammered. I've got work to do, man. Yeah, caddying, we got that work to do. Hey mom, Terry just dropped another live video. Yeah, there you go, exactly, that's what you need for all the updates. You should slam a beer on the live. I don't have one handy. That might have to be for another night. Ed says, thanks for the updates, Ed. You're very welcome, very much appreciate it. I'm gonna say big shout out to Slow Play for hosting us here tonight. Thank you. It's gonna continue to be a really good week, and Slow Play supports disc golf in a major way here at this event and throughout the rest of the year. So if you're in town, if you're in Rock Hill, come check out Slow Play. Super appreciate it. I know Chelsea, who I've worked with in the past, along with Ben, have been so gracious to us, and we're gonna keep supporting them as we can in terms of being out here and doing what we can. Big shout out to everyone that helped us with the interviews a little earlier in the day. Who'd we catch up with? Nate Doss, Gannon Buhr, along with Zach Melton, so appreciate that. Thank you to the Ken Climo line of disc, Dana, along with Ken Climo. I'm gonna guarantee you we're gonna get an interview with either Climo or Dana or both, and we'll be able to play that at some point this week as well. But keep your eye on the streak and who's putting together the most birdies, and then we'll have giveaways. At least 2 discs every night will be part of this giveaway. So what is that, like at least 6 discs we're gonna be giving away, and maybe more. And I know they've got some glow plastic, Mega Glow, coming out as well. So we'll find a way to give all of that away. For Dave over at the Disc Dyers Guild, huge shout out to him and all the help. Thank you so much for you guys joining us here tonight. Thank you to Slow Play one final time. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This has been your nightly recap at the USDGC, as well as the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship. That's all from the Drop Zone. We'll see you tomorrow night.